Hi everyone, my name is Shay Potter, and for my adapted sports video, I decided to do a presentation on seated volleyball, or sitting volleyball, as sometimes people will call it. And first off, I was super excited to learn about this sport, just because I love volleyball in general, and to know that there is a adapted sport for volleyball was super interesting to me. So first off, right off the back, the difference is going to be one's played on the ground and one's not. But there are a ton of similarities. The number of players, how the scoring works, how the games work, all of that is the exact same. But some of the differences have to do with players can actually block a serve when they're playing seated volleyball, which isn't allowed in regular volleyball. The portion of the athlete's torso has to be on the ground at all times, so they can't be lifted off of the court in order to make attacks. And then the libero, or the defensive specialist in regular volleyball, has to actually sub out when they would be rotating to the front row. And in sitting volleyball, they actually don't, which was pretty interesting. So it originated in the Netherlands in 1956, but wasn't actually introduced to the Paralympic Games until 1980 in the Netherlands. And it was basically a sport that was put together to help veterans that had gone and had amputations, and they wanted to give them something to hope for and work for, and give them a sense of pride and something to work at and be competitive and have fun. And it's evolved into the sport that it is today, and it's actually played in over 60 countries. And we actually do have a USA men's and women's sitting volleyball team, which I thought was super cool. So in general, the value to the participant, regardless of what sport you play, whether it be because you have a disability or because you don't, it's going to be to compete. It's going to be to have fun. You got to achieve goals. You're going to create long-lasting relationships between your teammates and between your coaches, and you're going to work with each other. I mean, it's the blood, sweat, and tears. That's what teams are all about. It gets you to stay active. You get a sense of pride, purpose and identity, and just so much more that comes along with being active, being a part of a team. There's not a ton of local opportunities to play seated volleyball, but you can do unorganized play. I mean, shoot, you can actually go to tennis courts and you can get a similar feel for it. You can do recreational play. If you can actually get some organized games together, you can actually find different disability sport programs that'll help put one of those together for you as well, or adapted PE programs. Nationally, the VEHR Games is actually for the disabled veterans and disabled members of the armed forces. And then statewide, you can do Disabled Sports USA. It's not here in Utah. I mean, there are a couple of different disabled sport programs that have minimal use of the sport, but for the most part, it's actually international Paralympics kind of sport. It's played, like I had said, 60 countries, and just because it is still a growing sport, but it is a pretty popular sport that is continuing to grow. There are a bunch of different classifications of what identifies a player that's able to actually play, and it has to do with the number of amputations, the severity of the amputation, and based on how they're classed is whether or not they can actually participate. For the most part, a lot of these people are missing limbs from the knee down, so that they can't actually stand and play, so that's why they're playing seated volleyball. But for the most part, as long as you've got some sort of amputation or some sort of disability within some motor control or with some neuromuscular connections, you're most likely going to be able to play. I do have some classification lists from Class A up to Class A1 to Class A9 on my PowerPoint that kind of goes into more depth on it, but for the most part, it just has to do with the severity and where the amputation is. So as for the official rules of play, what's different between regular volleyball and sitting volleyball is that your hands or legs may actually cross the service line when you're giving your serve, unlike regular volleyball where you can't. That's considered a penalty or a foul. Players are not allowed to lift their bodies off of the floor other than making a defensive play, and it's permitted to actually block an attack on a serve. So if the other team's serving to you in regular volleyball, you can't jump up and block the serve, but in seated volleyball, you actually can. Like I mentioned before, the court's a lot smaller, the net's got to be lower, but other than that, the basic general idea of regular volleyball is the same as sitting volleyball. Players can use their prosthetics if they would like to, but for the most part, a lot of these players actually don't play with them because they tend to get in the way. And then other basic parts of the game is it's best 3 out of 5. Tiebreakers go to 15 points. Regular matches go to 25 points. It's 3 touches allowed per side, and you've got your basic passing, setting, hitting, and spiking. So it all is pretty similar when you're playing it on the ground. Some different modifications, just like I had mentioned, is going to be the size of the court, size of the net, and then different modifications due to those that have certain amputations. As for skills, I'm going to go over it when I give my demonstration video, but basic passing is going to be using your forearms, setting is going to be using your fingertips and your fingers in order to direct the ball, hitting is going to be more of your attack, and it's your overhand one swing. You got your serving to start the play, and then blocking obviously to prevent the other team from getting the ball to your side. Alright, so I'm going to help teach my little sister here how to perform some of the necessary skills needed for seated volleyball. Okay, so one of the first skills that I'm going to talk about is passing. So I mentioned in my video a little bit earlier that your body has to stay on the ground, your bottom torso or your butt has to stay on the ground. So for passing, you're on the ground, butt's still touching, net's about 3 feet high, ball's going to come to you and you got to focus on passing. Your basic fundamentals, hands go together, thumbs go in, and you're going to create this platform right here. Okay? So we've got her platform set. When the ball comes to, it's going to hit, and as she directs the ball, she's going to be able to guide it to where it needs to go. So we're going to do just a basic passing. You're going to just hit it right back to me as you're sitting. Okay? Better? Good? Hello? Pass? Good. Better? Okay, get a little bit higher. Try and get it up here to me, okay? Better. Now, depending on how good the pass is, it's going to set it up for the set. Still on the ground, setting has to do with your hands. Filming around the ball here, it's a quick release. Now, in seated volleyball, you're not going to set that high because the net is lower. So now for this, if I were to pass to you, you're going to be ready for a set. So if the ball's coming and it's coming high, you're going to come, set. Good. Do another one. And set. Good. Now that set's going to set you up for the next skill that I'm going to talk about, which is hitting. So you're down on the ground, ball's coming to you for a set. It's all about the attack. You're going to hit up top, hit on top half of the ball, to be able to direct it down on that side of the court in order to get a point. The motion looks like this, coming high, hit. You want to focus, hitting that top half of the ball. Wind up, swing, good. All right, ready? Ball's going to come up, reach, good, better. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys coming from a different perspective. So ball's coming at you, form, pass. Do another one, together, form, pass. Now ball's coming at you and you're going to set it up for a set. Coming, set. Coming again, form around the ball, set. Now if you have to move, people get better at this, but they're actually scooting around on the floor to get where they need to go. They're diving for balls, stuff like that. Now for the last one, I've got a pass, we've got a set. We're going to make it so that I can go for the attack. Ball's going to be coming up, reach, hit down. Coming up, hit, follow through, and don't hit the net. Okay, got my receiver over here. Service is coming up, serve. You just got to make sure you get it over that 3 feet. Now the other thing that's different with seated volleyball is you can actually block on a serve. So let's say that she served, I'm down here, net's about 3 feet, wherever 3 feet is. Ball's coming, I can actually sit and block. So if she tosses it as if it's a serve coming up, I can block it back out onto their side. Another one, block, you can actually tip it down just like that. And that covers basic passing, setting, hitting, blocking, and your basic serve. Now get out there and have some fun. Woo! So in conclusion, I really enjoyed doing this assignment and learning all about adapted sports and how they can unite different individuals with different abilities and create long-lasting friendships and create a sense of identity and purpose and just create an environment to have fun. So I really enjoyed this assignment and I hope that you enjoyed my video.